professor. Let's give him a big round of applause. So now we'll open the floor for questions. Feel free to ask anything and everything. And if your question's for a particular person, let us know. Or to know we have someone walking around to collect the questions.
Are there other people here helping tonight who can help me walk around and take questions?
While that's happening, it's like it's Rocky. Right, anyone have any questions about anything at all? Or have we answered all? Yes, sir. Dave.
Hi. Thank you all so much for the variety of perspectives and how wisely you present them. I wonder, though, reflecting on the fact that meeting needs at the times that our Holy Scriptures have emerged, which of course occurs at various points in history, but today we have much more elaborate systems by which we seek to meet needs for the common good. And I wonder if there are any reflections from our traditions about how we are to be givers in this system in which needs are met by bureaucratic governments and nonprofit organizations. What kinds of giving are we obligated to do in light of our modern systems of meeting needs?
Okay, so very good to repeat the question and let me know if I've left anything out. When our scriptures first appeared on the scene,
I'm going to borrow this one to the audience. You'll just have to make sure that's
when our traditions, our scriptures first appeared on the scene, the environment was structurally very different. Different type of government, different types of economy. So in, for example, Chicago 2015, how would each of the speakers give suggestions on giving? So we'll just go, we'll start with Professor and then we'll go down one by one. So today, how would you suggest people should give? What are different ways?
As far as the giving is concerned, what we have to give to the needy, we should do it abundantly. We should not be miser. We should see the needs of the other person. His needs and my needs are the same. I should try my best to give him the maximum so that he may not feel hungry or empty or without any address and all that. I will try my best. I have been told and I have read in the books by the prophets, by our gurus, that how to help the poor. That is one of the reasons that our temple in Palatine, and there is one temple there on Devan, wherever the Palatine temple is real big. And you all people can come even on Sunday. You will be served food free all the times. When you come at night, you will be given a room. We do our best. We donate 10% of our income to our temple and to take care of us. Even we make some times take our food to the empty ones over there at Ryan Street and help the people over there. We do our best and we feel very proud when we give it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's an excellent question. And I think my response to that is that there really is no wrong answer. I think it is really what touches an individual's heart and the way they feel they can best serve the community. Some people feel more comfortable being in the background and perhaps donating money, and other people feel more comfortable perhaps making a sandwich at a homeless shelter. I think it really depends on what speaks to an individual, whether it's on a individual, local, or getting involved with a national organization. But great point.
Can you hear me? Okay. So I think that's an excellent question because obviously much has changed in the world over 2,000 years, right, within Christianity. And yet, in some ways things are still the same, right? There's still the poor, there's still the needy. I would say that I don't think within the Christian faith that you need to be within a religious or Christian community to be helping those who are in need. I would even argue that I think for some of those early communities that were popping up within Christianity, the mission field wasn't just to people within their insular community, but it was this idea of reaching out to the wider community, regardless of necessarily faith. They wanted to see healthier systems, and I think within our church, for instance, there are people who serve in many ways, some within the church community and a lot within the wider community as well. And I also think, too, that there's this idea that it's not just service-oriented projects, such as within soup kitchens. It's also an idea of this radical rethinking of how you live out your life, too, which carries on into your occupation, for instance, your vocation. And I would say that I think that's true within all of our faiths as well.
I think what David just said is also very important, that while it's very important for us to be engaged in hands-on kind of things that each of us are able to do, there is something more systemic that is a greater issue that at times may seem overwhelming for us, but that we have to always look at something that goes beyond, as important as it is to have soup kitchens, to make those sandwiches and so forth. What are the underlying roots of poverty and need, as well as hunger? Reading from Leviticus, as I did, that's an agrarian economy. We're not, most of us, I think, farmers. Most of us do not have fields that we can leave the corners uncut and unharvested. That's not something that we're going to do. But we are also interpreters of tradition, and we also take that tradition and apply it more broadly. So, as an example, in our city at least, there's the Greater Chicago Food Depository, which does in fact try to take those, whatever produce is available that's left over, and provide in a very highly organized way for poverty and hunger throughout the city. There are many things that each of us do, with Just Harvest as an example, Family Promise. Many of our synagogues, churches, mosques house homeless during the year. Night Ministry, Bread for the World, which is a broader issue. American Jewish World Service in the Jewish community does remarkable work internationally. And, you know, we have we build on our traditions. So while I might have read from Leviticus, David might have read from Luke, from those to whom much has been given, much is expected. We are among those who are very fortunate. And having that good fortune demands from us that much is expected of us. And at times it is the hands-on activity, but at other times it's really questioning the whole nature of a society that allows poverty to exist in a world of richness.
Just building on what everyone said, I want to point out that I appreciate that David mentioned in his presentation liberation theology. When we usually speak of giving, we usually speak of the person giving to another person, and a modern way would be to do that through charities on the internet and such, right? But what liberation theology argues, and in each of the major traditions there's been a branch that's formed inspired by that. There's a Muslim liberation theology, there's a Jewish liberation theology, and I can't speak about the Sikhs and the Baha'is, but there's also been ethnic liberation theology movements. But the argument there is that people are poor not because they're not working, people are poor because the system is keeping them poor. And I think all of us, speaking as people of privilege by virtue of the fact that we're in this room, have to especially be sensitive to that. That just by virtue of the fact that I'm living my life a particular way, it is taking advantage of people.